Hi everyone, this is my second take on this, doing this video. I did it this afternoon and something must have happened to my microphone because I could get no sound at all going at work, so I'm trying it at home. Okay, so this is comments on week 4. I wanted to say first thank you for your assignments, and I'm going to be working on giving you individual feedback on those very soon for the class Theories of Learning and Technology, and to give you a sense of how you're kind of doing in the course to now. And I haven't done that yet because I've been finishing up a big Pepper Shirker grant to do the next generation of Pepper, and we finally finished it today. So huge relief, and I've been teaching all day, so I haven't really. I'm very behind on my marking, so it's my goal starting Thursday to get on with that and get it done for you. And I'm going to give you audio reflections on your audio commentary just to see. I want you to sort of experience what that's like to receive and see if that's something you enjoy, and it might be something you can think about in your own teaching at some other point. So good discussion this week, and thank you to Eckhart and Madeline for their moderating. And this has been another week of difficult seminal thinkers, and I appreciate your patience, because I know if you don't have a background in psychology or some related discipline, this is quite a lot of quite difficult material. And these are important to try to kind of get a grip on some of these key concepts, and because we'll see them return in different forms in the following weeks. I'm just going to turn my email off so it doesn't beep all the time. And so, how we define culture, as we were talking about this week, for instance, in Piaget and Vygotsky's terms a bit, but certainly Piaget's, culture is the environment, it's the immediate surroundings of the child, as opposed to the kind of more ethnic view that we have of culture. Culture is more connected with our sort of nationhood and our cultural, our ethnic and religious backgrounds. But this is a much more kind of immediate and non-specific sort of experience. It's the immediate surroundings, including the family and the parents and so forth. But we're going to be talking a lot about culture, and as you look at more sociological definitions and move away from the psychological ones that we've been looking at, we're going to see more of these broader looks at culture. And in fact, in week 9, we're going to be looking even again at postmodern views, critical theories of learning, and they even more have a very particular view of what identity and culture means. I'm happy with the discussion that's been going on this week. I think it was, it's been at a very high level, and there's lots of debate, and people keep, come back to things and look at them, and I think that's really good. And you will sort of feel like that in this course. I've noticed in my other classes too that people kind of go back and they might say something again to an earlier week and respond to somebody else's idea, because sometimes it just takes a while. It doesn't happen in a very neat kind of, we're on week 2, now we're on week 3, and it doesn't mean that you finish processing those ideas. So don't worry if that happens. That's okay to do that. So this idea of learning being situated is one of the really key ideas that's going to keep coming back in this course, because it's a really foundational view of why constructivism is constructivism, and how that sort of has its effects on learning. And similarly with just the general impact of social and cultural influences just gains momentum from here. We're looking at situativity and situated learning on this more anthropological journey. And the theories here are closer to, as I was saying, to sociological perspectives than psychological ones. Lev and Wenger's work, for instance, defines learning not as this in-the-head phenomenon, which is kind of how Piaget and Vygotsky deal with it, but rather something that really lies in its practice. It's the practices of the community. So you learn by participating in the activities of the community, first as a legitimate peripheral participant, and then over time you move towards the center. So that's what learning is. It takes you towards the closer to the center of the community. Now, the COP model has been applied to many different, the community practice model applied to very many different kinds of communities, but I do want to just draw some distinctions here. So it was originally developed as a way to describe naturally occurring social communities, and and so legitimate peripheral participation is the actual learning mechanism. In the same way that Piaget's ideas of accommodation and assimilation are his learning mechanisms, it's how information gets kind of brought inside. Well, legitimate peripheral participation is how learning happens seen through the eyes of a community of practice. So, but it's not the same as, for instance, communities of interest and communities of inquiry and knowledge building communities, all of which are communities we'll probably talk about at some time or another in the course, and that you will have heard outside of this. Communities of interest are more informal. They usually have a less developed community roles and practices, although they can look like COPs in some respects. Communities of inquiry are focused often on formal learning, and they're more structured in a particular way for that kind of specific learning context. And knowledge building communities, which we'll look at when we talk about the idea of community in online learning, have very specific definitions for what counts as knowledge building and what counts as learning. And so we'll look at that later too. But they're all different. So we have to sort of pay attention to some of that. There was a very nice summary for the week here that, no, what am I doing? Go away, Claire, go back, here we go. Eckhart and Madeline did this here, which is great. And so spontaneous learning, cultural influences on learning, and social learning online, which were some of the themes for the week. So that's a helpful summary for us to keep in mind. And as we're going to go into, let's go back here, this coming week on first one on situated learning, the questions are already in here and ready to go. And Katie and Sula are going to help us get through this week. And we're starting off for each group with an area where you can clarify terms if you have questions. And so I'll make sure that I go in and try and help with that. They've already, in their part of their question, they've given, we found this other site that gives a sort of simplified overview of some of the key terms. So I thought that might be helpful for the Laban Wenger community of practice thing, so that you can get a framework for that. And I will go check through that this week when, if people ask questions, and make sure I clarify some of those terms. And then you can go on with applying concepts, reflecting on experience, and so forth. And that will be the same kind of structure for both groups. So hopefully that will help, as I realize this is complex stuff and lots to think about. So, yes, so I hope everything goes well for you this week, and I'll look forward to talking to you more online as we go. Okay, have a good week.